Hello, my name is Bernd. I am a developer at Paessler and I want to show you how to install the multi-platform probe on Linux. We start out at this knowledge base article where we can scroll down to point number 5 to find the download. Here we download the Linux version of the install script. Once the download is finished, we can go to a terminal window and make the script executable using the chmod +x command, followed by the name of the script. And then we run it using sudo // and the name of the script. And first we have to install the NUT server. So we choose the option number 1 here. And number 1 again to install it locally. Then it prompts us to answer if we want to install a systemd service and activate it right away. So we say yes to both questions. And then we get asked for some configuration option. The server port can be changed depending on your network setup, but for our case the default is fine, so we are just accepting the defaults by pressing enter. The same goes for username and password. After that the installer finishes, and by pressing enter again we go back to the main menu. Next we have to install the probe adapter on the PRTG core, so we head over to the machine where the PRTG core is running and do that. On the machine where the PRTG core is running, we have to install the probe adapter. Under point 5.2 of the knowledge base article, we can find the download link for that. So we save it to our computer. After the download is finished, we run the script. We have to press R here to confirm that we actually want to run it. And then we can choose the option I to install the probe adapter. Now it asks us for the NUT server IP address, which is the address of the machine where we just installed the NUT server. So we enter it here at this prompt. For the port, username and password, we can accept the default since we did the same thing when installing the NUT server, but if you change those settings, you have to repeat the changes here. Then we are prompted if we want to restart our PRTG core, which we are going to answer with yes, because we want to do that. Once the installer is finished, we can go back to our Linux machine and install the actual multi-platform probe. In the main menu of the installer, we now select option number 2, and then number 1 to install the multi-platform probe locally. We get again asked if we want to install and start a systemd service for the multi-platform probe. So we say yes to both of those questions. And then we have some config options. We can choose which name the multi-platform probe is going to appear under in our PRTG. We just accept the default here. And we have to select an access key. For this local setup, accepting the default is fine, but we have to remember that for later because we have to enter it in our PRTG. The NUT server IP address is 127.0.0.1 because we are running the NUT server on the same machine as the multi-platform probe. You can run those on different machines, but then you have to change the IP address at this point. For the port, we select the one we selected earlier, and the same goes for username and password. Now the installer finishes, and we get prompted to go back to the main menu. And this is the install of our multi-platform probe done on the Linux side. And we have once again to head back to the Windows machine to connect the multi-platform probe to our PRTG setup. Here we are in PRTG where we want to connect the multi-platform probe. So we go to Setup and to Core and Probes. And here under Access Key we have to enter the access key we chose earlier for the multi-platform probe. Since we accepted the default parameter, it is just multi-platform probe. If you have chosen a different access key, you have to enter it here. Then we can click Save, and then we have to restart our core, which we do by going to Setup, Administrative Tools, and clicking the Go button under the Restart PRTG Core Server Service. The restart of the PRTG core takes a minute. Once the PRTG core is restarted and we are logged back in, we get a pop-up in the bottom right of our window. Here it asks us to confirm that we want to connect the new probe and it asks us to approve an auto-discover. Since auto-discovery is not implemented in the multi-platform probe at this point, we have to click approve without the auto-discovery option. And then we are in the device tree where we can see our multi-platform probe here. And to confirm that it works, we are just going to add a sensor. So we use a ping sensor on our local probe device. And when we create it and open it, we can see it turns green after a moment, which confirms our multi-platform probe is working. And this is how you install the multi-platform